Bases drop. Tuesday thoughts here on SDH AM. John here, you there. Thanks for hanging out as you always do. Rundown for the morning. A couple of different directions. After last night, and we had some math to do, having to do with one particular player and the possibility of him heading to an international friendly, and trying to figure out the distance between point A and point B. It made me think, and I was trying to figure out, okay, so if this was to happen, how nervous are you? How nervous are you as a club when something like this is going on? So I had a story, and it's probably going to end up being opening kickoff more than anything. And it was kind of like, if it's anything like me and trying to not be nervous under normal circumstances, what's it like for an MLS club when you're having to travel in certain locations and destinations and travel plans and all the things? So it made me kind of think, and so it might be story time with John coming up in something resembling opening kickoff this morning. Wild stuff out of Europe that we have to get into this morning, and we'll get into that. And literally, it has so many different levels that if you saw the story on one of the news services this morning, it really doesn't do it any justice. And so it's an opportunity to kind of do a bit of a deep dive into Eastern European football. And you're going, what? And I'm going, exactly right. So we'll get into that. We've got your morning news to get into, and we're going to look back at Major League Soccer. Kevin Egan set to join us at the bottom of the hour. And Kevin, this week, I think, is one of the busiest men on this or any other planet because he is going to be at the soccer summit, the Business of Soccer summit at the Blank Tank. And that is going to be Wednesday and Thursday. And so he's running around. I don't know if he can join us in video because I think he's going to be in his car. So he might be joining us audio only to break down pubs and summits and Major League Soccer and being home and trying to figure out when he's going to have spare time, which might be like December. But then you have the sprint, and then you get into 27. So it might be like a week and a half here or there between now and the end of the year that Kevin actually has off. And he's going to, and we all that are working this year are seriously going to have to figure out, okay, how do we make it up to those that are closest to us? That's like 27, 28. We got to figure it out with the cup the world is chasing after. So Kevin Egan said to join us about 9:30-ish. Because, like I said, he's going between, I think he's going between live shots and appearances. And so he's going to join us when he can. So we have to be kind of flexible, at least here in hour number one. Hour number two at 10:30, we're ending with Jamie Henderson, the sporting director of Union Omaha, because Jamie's kind of doing OJT, on the job training. And he gets to find out what it's like to juggle competitions, league play, and cup play as a sporting director. Here in Atlanta United, he got to sample it with the different comps that Atlanta United drifted into and so on. But with Vincenzo Candela as your head coach, one of the most respected names in League One, plus the League One schedule kicking off, plus all of that travel, plus the travel that you had in the opening round of Open Cup, then getting ready for round two of Open Cup, and having to figure out roster assembly and all this kind of stuff. It's kind of a way for us to check in on someone who is a sporting director here in the U.S. for the first time. Growing pains, education, League One, all of that stuff. And I can't thank Will Clark and Jamie Henderson enough for circling around, because I think it's their media day today, or at least it was fairly soon in the calendar. And so we circled back, and I was like, hey, can we catch up with Jamie again? And so it's an education for us about what it's like being a sporting director. It's kind of letting Jamie see if there's anything he needs to get off his chest, that kind of a thing. So Jamie Henderson's going to join us at 10:30, and we'll let you know what's going on at Union Omaha and with Jamie Morning Dell. And so it is a combination of a USL, MLS, work, and everything that's attached to the World Cup and all of the friendlies and everything that's absolutely attached to all of that this morning. So that's the rundown for today. So we're going to be kind of drifting in and out of Major League Soccer, drifting into, and yeah, we do have a John Texter update for those of you who missed that. Shockingly enough, I know that this will once again surprise each and every one of you. But John Texter and paying bills, specifically to Atlanta United, is not happening with any great, how do we phrase, regularity. So it was yet another instance of trying to get the latest and greatest hits involving a man that is having issues paying bills. So we'll get into that coming up here in just a little bit. So we've got all of these updates, and David Ousted also had something that was posted, and our friend Jose Prosopio also had something posted involving Atlanta United as well, and the pursuit of a player. And so we'll catch into all those different things. Like I said, I got my notes here on the legal pad, and so that's where we are. The USMNT is up at the Children's Healthcare of Atlanta training ground. They are getting ready in their daily form, getting ready for the two friendlies, and it is an opportunity for them to kind of see where they stand. We talked to Bart Keeler yesterday and got his thoughts on, okay, the 27, and where do we sit from here as we get ready for the two matches on the weekend. And so, yeah, there's a lot going on. There are some of these mornings, morning David, morning Abby, where literally I'm sitting here and I'm going, I wish we could tag out and continue things after 2.5 hours because there's more going on. We need like an afternoon show, all of the things. So it's, there's trust me, there's a lot going on, and it's not just obviously getting ready for the World Cup and the friendlies and all the things. So it is crazy. So it's out there. It's out there. Trust me, it's out there. All right. So opening kickoff brought to us by our friends at Kickoff Coffee. Sorry, my bad. It is opening kickoff brought to us by our friends at Black Pitch Coffee, blackpitchcoffee.com. Start your day with the most important stories in the game. The right way to start your morning. Black Pitch Coffee, part of the SDH community, showing up at events all over Atlanta. Try their home blend made with beans from Brazil and Guatemala. And it is heavy-bodied, notes of walnut and semi-sweet chocolate, and a rich world-class finish. Opening kickoff powered by Black Pitch Coffee and blackpitchcoffee.com. So, and this is probably story time with John. So we were wondering last night. We were wondering on the we were wondering last night. So it was one of those thoughts where you're sitting there and you're going, what is going on with anything and everything that is trying to get you ready for any and all of the games that are going on, all the friendlies around the planet. Because if you were with us last night, it was one of those elements where you're trying to get from point A to point B, and you're going, okay, that's really interesting, and you're trying to figure out, oh, that's what that looks like. Okay, never mind. It's like it's all right. So I'm having technical problems here, and I don't know why. I really don't. I thought that I did, but yeah, okay, right there. It's it's just silly. So never mind. Anyway, okay. Morning, David. Morning, Abby. Morning, Del. All right. It's crazy to think when you're trying to do something for your country, legitimately how long it might take you to get from one point to the other. And but we were doing the math, and it was one of those situations where if you were Denny Buanga, say, and you were trying to get from point A to point B, that you were going to take basically 32 hours. 32 hours to get from point A to point B. Literally, if you left on Sunday, like you're playing in Austin on Sunday, or you're playing in Austin Saturday. You come home late Saturday night. You're going to catch a flight because you have the Uzbek Cup, the FIFA Cup in Uzbekistan on Thursday morning at 10 o'clock local time or our time. So nighttime in Uzbekistan, so however many hours it's pushed forward. It's going to take you 32 hours to get from point A to point B. So if you left Los Angeles early morning on, that's a 20-hour flight or anywhere from 20 to 32 hours. If you left LA first thing Sunday morning, you wouldn't get to Tashkent, Uzbekistan until middle of the afternoon, Monday local time. And so that was one of the things. Anywhere from 20 to 32 hours, you're flying from Los Angeles to Salt Lake, from Salt Lake to from Salt Lake to Tashkent, Uzbekistan. Actually, and you're flying to Istanbul. So basically, it's LA to Salt Lake to Istanbul, Istanbul to Tashkent. Anywhere from 20 to 32 hours. And so there are points where, as you are flying over the Gobi Desert, you're flying over, Iran and such, and you're flying over all of the stands that are in the Baltic region and Eastern Europe, where I would imagine because of world events currently being what they are, you're probably having to take a little bit more of a circuitous route than you would otherwise. I have seen this before. I know what this looks like. So if I was nervous, God knows how everybody else is nervous. So the boss one time when she was a part of her globetrotting, what she would do is she would have to fly to Mumbai to check on the the Indian Ocean and the branches that are over there in that part of the world, east in Asia and such. In India and Asia, she'd have to literally make that flight. And she would be going from London to Germany to India, and so on. And so me being the nervous guy that I am, yes, exactly. Yeah, 4 to 5 hours in TSA in the U.S. So, Abby, I'm thinking that Denny Bouanga might have taken a PJ. He might have taken a private jet. But if you took commercial and you went Delta, say, you're going LAX, Salt Lake, Istanbul, Tashkent. And when the boss would travel from one part of the planet to the other, I would be that nervous guy who's trying to look at FlightAware 12 hours ahead. And I'm marking her flight as she goes. When you go over the Atlantic, it's one thing. You're still monitored. The radar is still there. The line is still green. The path is still, available. And so you know what's going on. Whether you're flying from Atlanta to London or to Gatwick or to JFK and then over, either way, it's green. You know what's going on when it's green. So she gets to Germany. It's green. Everything's fine. And so then you get to the point to where you are flying east and then southeast to get to India. And there's a point in the FlightAware software package where if you are lost on radar or you're lost in their transmission, it goes basically from green to white. And FlightAware makes the assumption that you're still traveling the path that you have marked at X number 1,000 feet. In my case, it started out at 35 and then went up to 42. And so literally you are trying to stay as high as you possibly can. You get into Iran and it turns white for the entire length of the country. You go into Iranian airspace and it is a white line. And I'm like Leo Mazzoni sitting here in this chair, and I'm literally rocking back and forth for hours, trying to sit there and figure out, okay, where is she? Is this the true flight path? Okay, great, fine. And then once she gets out of Iran, she got back to being green. And then you take this big right-hand turn and you go south and you head to the Indian Ocean, and you end up going over, I think it's Cambodia. You have India, and then they're currently in a border war, and I think it's Pakistan. And so literally you go to the India-Pakistan border and you're literally sitting there and you fly into the Indian Ocean and you take a left turn and you hug the Indian Ocean and it's white again. If I'm that nervous, I'm just wondering if, Denny Bouanga going over the Gobi Desert is the same thing. If he's, going over the stands is the same thing, and then having to double back, because literally what he's doing is he's going Gobi Desert on this particular flight. I don't know if this is the flight he was taking, but this seemed to be the one that was the shortest. So you're flying over the Gobi Desert, you're flying over the Stan Republics, you're flying to Turkey, and then you're flying back. So basically, hey, I need to go there. Nope, we're still going. So I just wonder how Denny Bouanga is getting from point A to point B if he's going to this tournament. I imagine he is. Yes, it was a Braves mention, Dell. It absolutely was. And by the way, the Braves Vision Open, top notch. But just if I'm a nervous wreck and I can't mark if I can't mark a plane at 42,000 feet because it's in Iranian airspace, the 20 hours that Denny Bouanga is probably on a plane, or the 20 to 32, to get to Uzbekistan for a FIFA-created 4-team tournament, that to me would be another adventure in and of itself. So that was wild. To just think that you're going anywhere from 20 to 32 hours on a plane so you can be there for your country in a 4-team tournament in Uzbekistan as you're flying from Los Angeles on probably Sunday morning. Just saying. Anyway, so that was just a thought that ran through my head, that the lengths that these athletes go through this time of year to be with their clubs, to be with their national teams. And if I'm nervous, I'm imagining that there's a lot of other folks that are nervous too in these situations, from getting from point A to point B. So anyway, that was opening kickoff, brought to us by our friends at Black Pitch Coffee and blackpitchcoffee.com. Once again, starting your day with the most important stories in the game and FlyToWare software. The right way to start your morning. Black Pitch Coffee, part of the SDH community, showing up at events all over Atlanta. Try their home blend made with beans from Brazil and Guatemala, heavy-bodied, notes of walnut and semi-sweet chocolate, and a rich world-class finish. Opening kickoff, powered by Black Pitch Coffee and blackpitchcoffee.com. I don't know if you saw this, and it came from our dear friend Jose Prosopio, and it had to do with keeping an eye on a player. And so please, if you would, keep an eye on a player going forward here. And it was a player out of Gremio. And the idea that Atlanta United possibly was chasing after a particular player. And it looks like that the amount that was tossed back and forth did not seem to be liked by our friends at Gremio. So keep an eye out for any conversations involving Eric Noriega and how long it might take, or if there was a number that was tossed. So Jose and Marcelo B. Sayaras, they had a bit of a back and forth in notes yesterday. Atlanta United, according to Jose and to Marcelo B. Sayaras, would have made an offer of $3.5 million to Gremio for Eric Noriega. Gremio, of course, is looking for $8 million for 90% of the past. And so it would be with his versatility. So obviously Gremio is like $3.5 million, nah fam, thanks. They're aiming for around $8 million for 90% of the pass. Alianza Lima would retain 20% of any future sale, directly impacting the deal structure. And so 8, and if you look in the comments going south on that, a lot of folks were wondering, 8? What? Not so fast. So just, it's like I said, this was just something that popped up yesterday. And so keep an eye on it. And if anything happens by the summer or anything like that, if 8 comes the other direction and doesn't go north, so let's check Eric Noriega through Transfermarkt and see what valuations currently are for Eric Noriega and any kind of gossip, rumor, and innuendo that might be attached. And so, yes, my data, my choice. I understand. So Eric Noriega is with Gremio at the moment. Market value of €4 million. So Atlanta United went at Gremio with a number that would be in par with market value if you follow transfermarkt.com. His current agent is Z Sport, which really doesn't have a whole lot of players, but the key being that most of them are Peruvian. And by far, Noriega is their most treasured client. 24 under contract through 28. Jefferson Portals is also there, and he would be number 2 at the Deportivo Garcilaso. But Eric Noriega, by far, in this 8-player, 3 of them in first-tier agency from a Z-Port, Noriega is by far their most valued client. Right now, Gremio once again joined them back in August of 25 under contract through 3.5 years. And currently, another center back, center mid, has played D mid in the past, but center back, center mid would be where the 24-year-old is attached. So Z-Port, and so current rumors are listed with Atlanta United. So there is there is a bit of notification that is attached to it. So you're staring at that, and you're looking at the all seasons. Let me look at all seasons for Eric Noriega for Nagoya, Japan, or at least it was he was born in Nagoya, Japan, so he possibly could have the 2 nationalities if you wanted to do the one-time switch. Most of the time spent at center back, but he has spent time at D mid. 4 goals as a center back in 71 appearances, defensive midfielder, 2 goals, 5 assists in 38 games. And he has played central mid, attacking mid, and sweeper when called upon. But 26 so far in the Campeonato Gaucho and Serie A. He has 14 appearances, a goal, and 3 assists so far. And then you go backward into his career, Alianza Lima before that. So maybe we can ask our buddy Nino Torres about him on Thursday, and we'll find out what the idea might be for Eric Noriega. But just keep an eye. Like I said, defensive midfielder, listed at $4 million in transfer market value. Peruvian by nature, Japanese by birth, and so current international. He's got 7 caps with the Peruvian national team. But another defensive midfielder, and just like I said, just put this one under your hat. Put this one under your hat for a little bit, and we can kind of see what the future may hold for something like that. Say summertime, but obviously there's still time in the window. But it is an opportunity to look at future players, possibly, because once again, remember, end of the fiscal year and all those kinds of things. And so we'll kind of keep an eye on it and what it looks like there with the possibility of an Eric Noriega. So Eric Noriega was on the radar of some folks in South America. So we'll keep an eye on it and let you know what's going on there. We're kind of in flux, waiting to see when Kevin Egan has the opportunity to drift in, and we think that he's going to be doing it safely. We hope he's going to be doing it safely. And so we'll catch up with Kevin, like I said, on a bunch of different things, and it'll be the opportunity to sit there and catch up with Kevin on a couple of different fronts. And because this will be the first time that we've had the chance to catch up with him since he cut the promo for his new business venture. We got to find out how things are being constructed, how it's looking. Summit of Soccer, we've got to get into that because that's Wednesday and Thursday at Mercedes-Benz Stadium, and there's a lot of folks. I mean, there is a roster of folks of like the who's who of soccer is going to be here in town Wednesday and Thursday. Our Madison cruise is set to go. We'll see what Maddie can be able to gather in a news gathering sense. And so Kevin is saying another 5 minutes. I'm like, no worries, man. Safe guesting. That's all. Safe guesting is always a priority. It is. I'm going back and forth with Kevin right now. Let's see. So, all right. So Kevin's about 5 minutes out, and it's just being able to. Let's see. We got to talk to him about his pub, how the construction's going. Got to talk to him about his the Summit of Soccer. We got to get into that. Got to get into about Atlanta United. So there's going to be a lot of stuff going on with Kevin. It'll be kind of a rapid fire thing. And so waiting for Kevin to parachute in when he can in 5 minutes or so, and we'll let you know what's going on there. Okay. David Usted, and this is from our friends at Daily Hive. He's a former player for Vancouver Whitecaps. He's actually started a petition to try to make sure that the Whitecaps stay in Vancouver. And it was let's see. So Daily Hive. And so Usted is concerned about the team's future in Vancouver. Obviously, there's talk about building a new facility out at the racecourse in suburban Vancouver at Hastings. And so he's launched a petition titled Save the Whitecaps from Relocation. Currently works in youth soccer in BC province, urging the business community and local government to find a solution that keeps the Caps in Vancouver. And so he has started in a social media post. And he says we should be concerned there's no solution for the team's future at BC Place while the team awaits a new potential stadium at the PNE. Urging the government and local business community to collaborate and find a solution to prevent the relocation of the Vancouver Whitecaps. Essential that provisions be made to support the team's financial needs while maintaining their historic roots in Vancouver. Flexibility and commitment from the government are crucial to keeping the Whitecaps where they belong. Don Garber, once again, Commissioner of Major League Soccer, who will be at the Summit of Soccer this week, has repeatedly said continuing to play at BC Place is untenable. Provincial government has since given the Whitecaps a more favorable deal to play games out of BC Place. Club has still identified that a new soccer-specific stadium necessary for long-term sustainability. City of Vancouver had offered up Hastings Park, and you remember the coverage that we had of that. And they're still waiting for someone to come up and pay for it. And so the petition has already over 1,000 verified signatures. And so it is a 6-paragraph petition that David Usted has started, and folks can join into the petition at change.org is where he's posted it. But a 6-paragraph plea to make sure that the Whitecaps don't get relocated. And then there was a question on whether or not Joe Tsai could be an individual that could be brought in to help as a part of keeping the Whitecaps in Vancouver. And it is Morning Bart and Morning Abby. So he meaning Steve Nash, being a limited partner in the Whitecaps, counts Joe Tsai as one of his good friends. And Tsai has recently sold his interest in the Brooklyn Nets. He has now kept his interest in 2 indoor lacrosse league clubs. He's like a part owner in the one in suburban Vegas, and he owns the one in San Diego. So it's like he's trying to get rid of one major asset, keeping 2 minor sports assets. And so there is a thought that if Steve Nash could talk to Joe Tsai, hey, let's keep him here, then that could be a connection that could be crucial down the line to keeping the Whitecaps in Vancouver, if not out at Hastings Park when they build the new barn that they're hoping that the city and the province will let them do. So go take a peek at the petition that David Usted has posted over at change.org. Had over 1,000 signatures so far, but the biggest thing is that you need pockets. And if Steve Nash can convince Joe Tsai to be said pockets, then you've got a chance. But you've got to be in control of the revenues. You've got to be in control of the revenues in your own building, and that's key in all of this. So Axel Schuster, he has been front and center saying that, look, right now our situation's untenable. It has been mentioned over and over and over again. You had the negotiations that went on with the city. City was like, well, if we do this and this and this and this, that means more revenue for you. And it literally was moving some things over that they had not been in control of previously when it comes to game day revenues. So game day revenues were kind of twisted a little bit. And so that gave an extra couple of $1 million, I think, over the span of a season to the Whitecaps. It's a decent gesture. There's not a whole lot that is going to be added to it in a financial sense. So we'll find out what's going on with the petition, Joe Tsai, Steve Nash, all of the above. And obviously, as Vancouver continues to kind of hang in the balance here when it comes to money that they've spent, money that they're not spending, and what are they going to do going forward? So that's the larger question there. But Vancouver also continues to compete in MLS and in CONCACAF. And they brought in Thomas Mueller, which was another thing that was, counter to the financial situation. They went ahead and invested last year and got Thomas Mueller, made it to the last game of the year. The larger point now for Vancouver is, can you sustain? Can you sustain with a team up for sale and try and figure out, okay, how can we continue to navigate this and navigate it as best we can? They're not doing too bad right now after 5 matches and juggling CONCACAF, although they played for their first 5 at home. Vancouver right now, they are in second place in the West. 1 point behind LAFC. And so we'll see what it looks like, as the season continues. But I think kind of fighting any and all of the navigating that you're trying to do financially. And I think that Vancouver, the players themselves, are doing a damn good job of focusing on what's going on the field. They've only given up 2 goals. And this is the strange thing. You normally would associate the Western Conference with offensive output. Defense right now, LAFC, they haven't given up a goal in their first 5. Vancouver has only given up 2 goals in their first 5. San Jose, who Atlanta knows well about, they've only given up 1 goal in their first 5. They've scored 7, they've given up 1. That to me it's crazy to think that those 3 teams at the top of the Western Conference, they've given up the total of 3 goals. Seattle's only given up 2 in their first 5. It's crazy to think of that defense in the Western Conference. It's something that I would not necessarily have equated with it. Nashville right now is only given up 2 in the East. Everybody else has given up 4 or more. So it's almost like what we're traditionally looking at in Major League Soccer is kind of flipped. So then Bart asks, when the Whitecaps can't find a solution, what USA City is the best candidate for the franchise's new home? Ooh, I like that. I mean, all things being equal, though, Bart, I want to keep them there. I want to keep them there because of the 50 years that have been attached. And so it was, it was interesting when everybody's like, well, what do we do? Well, you know what you do, but that's the idea that you are trying to figure out how to keep the Whitecaps there. You see First Nations getting involved, which, for them, it's a great investment on their part. But if you all right, so let's look at if you do it this way. If you do it this way, then let's look at it this. All right, so Nielsen, I'm going to go by the Nielsen TV markets. And then, well, let's see. No, I don't want that. I don't want NIQ Broadbank. Okay. TV stations, North America markets. Okay, so what is the highest market that does not have an MLS franchise? Tampa, but you'd want that to be the Rowdies and the USL get mad. Same for Phoenix. Same for Detroit. Miami. Cleveland, maybe? Because we know what the Haslams are looking at. But Cleveland is also getting MLS Next Pro, and it would make sense from our conversations that we've had with our friends at MLS Next Pro and Cleveland Pro Soccer. Probably Cleveland. But let's go down the list. Cleveland's your number 19 TV market. Right now, that puts you in a top 20. And you know the Haslams would do whatever they needed to do to get a franchise into Cleveland, Ohio. You've also got MLS Next Pro, and you would have both MLS Next Pro and Major League Soccer in the same market. Sacramento's USL. Raleigh-Durham is USL. Portland, St. Louis, Indy is USL. Pittsburgh's USL. Baltimore, San Diego puts you in a top 30. San Antonio is USL. Hartford's USL. Kansas City, Austin. Anthony Precourt, I think, since he has owned Austin, has gone up 15 market sizes in Austin since he has been there. Columbus, we know that one already. Greenville's USL. Cincinnati is in. Milwaukee is USL approaching. Vegas is USL. Jacksonville's USL. Quad market of Harrisburg is not going to happen. Grand Rapids is USL. So in the top 50 markets, you have a couple of tri-markets and quad markets like Harrisburg, Pennsylvania, Lancaster, Lebanon, York, which is market 42. Norfolk, Portsmouth, Newport News is 44. The only market top 20, if you wanted to look at it that way, of the 210 media markets would be Cleveland. So Cleveland would get into the top 20 if that was to come to pass. But we wish that things would be normal. Okay. We have him on the fly. Safe guesting as always, Kevin Egan. How are you, sir?
I'm wonderful, John. Good morning. How's everybody?
Running around, not as fast as you, though. So how long do we have you, by the way?
Well, I'm in the car for a few minutes here. I've got about I could do 15 minutes if you like.
Absolutely.
I'm on the way to do Good Day Atlanta this morning.
So what are we good daying about, sir?
We're good daying about the games this weekend. Obviously, the U.S. men's national team on Saturday and again on Tuesday. Maybe a mention of Troy Parrott in Ireland in there, and the fact that I'm a nervous, giddy child. I can't focus on anything right now because I'm so nervous about Ireland, and I really hope we can make it through. And obviously play in Atlanta, which would be a dream come true for me, to have Ireland here in Atlanta. And then we're going to talk a little bit about the Sports Business Journal US Soccer and MLS Summit. It's on tomorrow and Thursday, of which I'm hosting at the Bend.
Yes, you are. You are at the Blank Tank, sir, and you are the mega host for all of this stuff. And this is a big thing. This is muckety mucks from like all over the planet in one place, and you get to MC this thing. I mean, this is Montaliani from CONCACAF. It's Don Garber. It's NWSL, Northern Super League. You got folks from all over the planet that are coming here for this summit. And
yeah, but the main man will be there, John. Arthur Blank. Arthur Blank will be there.
And it's his building, and he gets to talk about everything going on in Atlanta. And for Arthur Blank, you'd like to sit there and have his own little breakout room instead of just like 15 minutes because of everything that he's got going on these days. It's crazy.
John, I think I dropped for just a second. My apologies. Just getting you back here. 1 second.
No worries. Not going anywhere. Kevin's trying to be a safe guest. He's trying to be safe guesting. He's driving on the roads, and he's trying to make sure that he can answer questions appropriately and find out what's going on. So let's see round two. So Kevin, Mr. Blank, he's got a lot going on. He's got a lot to say. He could have his own summit at this point. Oh, he's there. You got it, Kevin. You got your ears on.
John, can you hear me?
Drifting. Oh, yes, I can. I can hear you fine. You're great sounding to me. So let me do this. I'm going to dump Kevin, and we'll try it again. So let's go here, and we'll try round three, because if Kevin dips in traffic, then he kind of works his way back into traffic. He did hit the dead spot on 400. Oh, he's thinking about it. It's frozen. There it goes. Okay, so let me see if we got Kevin here. So,
got you now, Joe. Apologies about that.
No worries. They're in the dead spot on 400 or Virginia Highlands or something, right?
It's open. I'm up in Roswell.
Mm-hmm. I know how this goes. I know how it goes. Mr. Blank could have his own summit with everything that's going on with him these days.
Yeah, 100%. I'm just excited to shake his hand. I always love any interaction I have with Arthur Blank. He's an absolute gentleman. He always manages to really look up to.
What did you think? I mean, we knew it was kind of a
John, I'm so sorry. I cannot hear you again now. Jason Longshore is somewhere laughing his ass off right now at this audio failing in my car. 1 second.
I've got you.
Why this isn't working?
I don't either. I have no clue. So I'm gonna. Oh boy. Oh man. You gotta love technology, don't you, brother? Oh, technology. What is thy sting? There. Oh. He went video on me. I don't want him to get pulled over because that would be bad. If Kevin got pulled over, that would be just that, and then he'd have to sit there and go be like, who'd he blame? The idea would be, okay, yeah, Nelly. So we're going to blame him. And this is nothing like cars and mobile and everything. So he turned on his camera, which I don't think he's supposed to do. and the madness that is there. I got to find out if he packed a suit because it didn't look like he was completely and totally dressed for Fox 5. But Kevin is set to go on Good Day. We'll be watching Good Day. He's going to talk about Ireland. He's going to be a mess, and we'll find out what's going on. Are you safe guesting, sir?
I am. I'm at a red light here, so I turned on the.
Oh, he turns on the camera at the red light, and the DOT got after him. Oh my God, this is hilarious. Nothing like trying to sit here and do guests, and the DOT gets mad at you. That's hilarious. Let me see how long. Let's see if it's something. So Kevin's squished. So let me go ahead and bump him. Oh my God, this is great. This is fantastic. Yes, Jason is laughing and blaming John. I'm sure he is. See, that's the problem is that Kevin, when he turned his camera on at a stoplight, I'm sure the Georgia DOT was kind of sitting there going, nah, that's not going to work. It's not happening. Yeah. Yeah. Can you just call in? Yeah, you should be able to. Let me see. There's got to be a way. Got to be a way to do just audio. All right. So let me see if there's got to be a way to dial in separate and find out what's going on. So if you can't see, and he's having, and Kevin's having me do technology, which is the problem here. So, all right. So the invite link is this. So if you are trying to dial in a situation like this, so restream. See, now this is me trying to sit here and look at things and go, okay, there's got to be a way to dial in and figure out how to do this stuff. He's having me do technology. So Jason is probably laughing his ass off, Kevin, without a doubt. He is definitely laughing his ass off with this whole thing because I saw a green light, and I saw Kevin's car moving. I saw Kevin's car go, and it was now, I think what happened there, Kev, is that the DOT saw that you turned your camera on, and they nuked you.
I just don't have the words right now, John. My apologies to everybody listening to you. I told you this was always going to be a risk doing this from the car, but I wanted to say hi, and I think there's a few dodgy spots here in Roswell that I've been through.
Yes.
But I'm not like Jason's laughing. Jason said every time I go on his show, there's always an issue, and I'm an idiot when it comes to this stuff. But all I did,
I'm an idiot when it comes to it.
I haven't done anything out of the ordinary. I'm literally logging in on my phone, and it just keeps knocking me off. So I'm going to leave the camera off, obviously, and hopefully this continues to work.
No worries. So what's it going to be like for you seeing all Mr. Blank and everybody at the summit, by the way, Wednesday and Thursday?
Yeah, I just love, I mean, Arthur, I don't know if you caught this part, but I just love shaking the guy's hand and saying hello.
Yeah.
I'm just so.
Oh.
I'm excited to say hi to him and everybody else. And then, Don Garber will be there. We've got Landon Donovan. I'm actually moderating a panel with Landon, Rog Bennett from Men in Blazers, and Superpower agent Rich Motzkin. So that's going to be fun. And that's about basically from 1994 through 2006, the trigger points, the key areas where we've evolved with the game in North America. So I'm looking forward to getting the perspective of three guys that have viewed this through a completely different lens. Raj, that cultural spokesperson, that he's with Men in Blazers and they're doing tremendous work with the Men in Blazers network. Landon, obviously, arguably the best player to ever represent the red, white, and blue, and someone who's now in broadcasting as well. And then obviously Rich has had such tremendous impact on the whole financial ecosystem of soccer in the United States, and started with nothing, really started taking on Alexi Lalas as his first client, back when they were in their 20s, and it just worked out for both. Alexi was a superstar at the time, but Rich has carved out a tremendous career for himself, and he has just such knowledge when it comes to like I said, the financial ecosystem of where our game is at right now.
Is it crazy to think that the world is coming here in about 90 days?
It is, and it's insane. It's not even 90 days by the time we're kicking off at this point, and I can't stop thinking about me as a child. and what this would mean to me as a young kid. And everybody else, there's a lot of people at this Business of Soccer Summit tomorrow that will be focusing on the business side of things. But I can't remove myself from the giddy kid that was 9 years old when the US hosted the World Cup in 1994, and watching games from Ireland in my mother's hometown of Chicago, and now being here in Atlanta and having 8 games in the city. To have a World Cup semi-final here, it just means so much to everybody. And there's kids that will take in the World Cup, and this is going to leave such a lasting impact on them and generations to come.
When we look at how busy we are going to be in 2026 as a calendar year, how much time are you going to owe back to the boss when the World Cup is over and when MLS season is over? And then, oh, by the way, we've got the sprint season in 27. How are we going to make this up to our bosses at home, Kev?
I'm having such technical difficulties that you sound like Mickey Mouse right now when you're speaking through my phone, John, just so you're aware. That's how bad my signal is, that you honestly sound like Mickey Mouse. But the bosses will, they're going to allow us, they're very kind at Major League Soccer, they're going to allow us work elsewhere during the World Cup as well. So I've got a few really exciting things coming up during the World Cup, which I can't wait for, and we're going to be flat out. And obviously, as you know, and as some listeners may know, I'm part of an ownership group of the Irish Exit in Centennial Yards. We're going to be opening up a bar and restaurant right next to Mercedes-Benz Stadium and doing everything to make sure we're open by the time the World Cup kicks off in Atlanta on June 15th.
How did you swing that property tax, man?
I don't know. We're the quicker we realize that everyone in life is winging it when we talk about everything, the better off we are, When you look at someone and you think they look so put together, you realize they're winging it as well. We're all we're figuring this out as we go, but the Irish Exit hopefully will be ready to go, and we're going to have that warm Irish welcome, the warm Irish combined with Southern hospitality, and hopefully people will see that as a great place to go before a concert or a game or a function at the Georgia World Congress Center.
How far back were we thinking about doing the Irish Exit before you actually stepped in to do it?
Probably back in, we had initial discussions in May, and then it went further, and obviously June and July we did the deal, and my friend Pierce is running the show. He's tremendous, Pierce White, and we've got a great group in the Dead Rabbit in New York that are, I think, the best in the world at what they do. They've won World Bar of the Year a few times for their bar, the Dead Rabbit in New York, and they've got some other bars as well. So it's just a really good mix of people, and it's like anything in life. When you start something new, the most important thing is, obviously you have to have a passion for what you're doing, but make sure you're surrounded by really good people. Make sure that the people you're working with are good human beings, and you're in it for the right reasons. And I'm in it because downtown Atlanta for a long time has absolutely needed this. It's needed an entertainment district. It's needed for a place for people to go. I went to Shakira with my wife last summer, and I couldn't get over how little options there were for people to grab a bite to eat before the show. We ended up going to, no offense if the owner of Hudson Grill is listening, or Hudson Grill, is listening right now, but it was the standards needed to be raised across the board. And I think now with Cosm going in, Chop Steakhouse, the Irish Exit, Busy Bee Cafe, there's so many cool things happening in that area, and that's Centennial Yards, and what we're seeing now is only the first third of the overall project. And then there's where the CNN Center has been completely done up. The Tech Village area is really impressive now. There's so much going on with downtown Atlanta that I think everybody should be really proud of. And the part that I'm most proud of, John, is that you look at the ringing of the bell at the New York Stock Exchange for Atlanta 2026, and there is the mayor and the governor side by side, smiling, shaking hands. And there's just this, at a time when everything is so divided, there's an incredible zest for collaboration here in the state of Georgia, and it's just a beautiful thing to behold.
All right, so if you could bring one thing to the menu at the Irish Exit, what would it be?
What a great question. I think I would get a really, like, Irish food is very simple, but like Italian food is very simple but beautifully done. Organic food. We want to make sure that it's the Irish exit is a place where, and I'm dodging your question here a little bit as I think about what to say. The Irish exit will be a place where we could get absolutely slammed in no time whatsoever. So it's not going to be your fancy sit-down restaurant where, that's Chop Steakhouse next door. There's Asian cuisine in the entertainment district as well. So that's going to all be there. We're going to be a place where you can go get a burger, you can get a different sort, get nice potato wedges or sausage roll, and it's really, really nice food. Like, it's so well done. Like, I had a taster up in New York there when I went to take a look at a few things, and I was trying out corned beef tacos that were just sensational. A simple thing like so lots of options.
Corned beef taco. Oh man, that's just okay. You got me hooked. 2 more questions. First off, when are you on Good Day?
John, my apologies. I've lost your audio, bud. You've gone from Mickey Mouse to absolute.
Damn it.
Let me try and load this again, buddy. One more time. Just one more time.
One more time. I have 2 questions. I have 2 questions to ask him. He's on 400. He's on 400. I know he's on 400. I know he's on 400. I know he is. 2 more questions. When are you on Good Day? Not happening. I hate 400. I really hate Georgia 400. I have 2 questions left.
John, if you can hear me, I love you.
Yes.
But I got to go.
Love
I'm not
you.
getting any audio here. So
Bye. Go away. Damn. Frickin'. Yeah, and Jason is laughing. Absolutely. Jason is laughing. Yes. He's laughing. All right. So that was Kevin coming down 400. Phones and cell phones and cell phone towers and the whole thing. That was intriguing. That was Kevin Egan, everybody. So Kevin's going to be on Good Day. And so we'll keep an eye on that. Keep an eye on the Irish exit and its continued build. Abby said the Hudson Grill needs much improvement. She agrees there. And this was it was interesting. This was a labor of Sisyphus. It literally was. It's like we get to the top of the hill and something happens. Get to the top of the hill, something happens. But anyway, that was Kevin. And we tried. So, hey, people in cars. Damn cars. All right. Anyway, so Kevin's going to be on Good Day. Irish exit is being built. If you're near Kevin, Thursday at 3:45 with the matchup against Czechia, make sure that you're within earshot. Czechia, Republic of Ireland, FIFA qualifying, Thursday, 3:45, as a part of the whole thing. I don't know if he's in Monterrey or not. I don't know if Kevin is going to be there. I would be intrigued if he is. Find a way to get there, That'd be epic. So you end up with the qualifying, the playoff tournament, all the things. Once again, remember, playoff tournament is like this. The playoff tournament in Mexico, 4 teams, actually 6 teams, 2 spots. Here's how it goes. New Caledonia, Jamaica, Bolivia, Suriname, Congo, and Iraq. That is path number 1. New Caledonia on the 26th. Congo gets the winner. New Caledonia going places they haven't been for the first time. No Damari Gray for Jamaica, by the way. Pathway 2. Bolivia, Suriname, Iraq gets the winner. Winner of that one gets Group I, France, Norway, and Senegal. So that's what you're looking at with the play-in tournament in Mexico. 79 days away, by the way. 79 days away. Crazy that we are at this point of the schedule where the world is going to be here in 79 days. And so we're getting into that particular section of the process. FIFA World Cup qualifying for Kevin. 3:45 on Thursday. Make sure that you find out where Kevin is, and we all can sit there and commiserate together on the whole thing. It's crazy. Looking at the countdown clock, you go to the FIFA website, and it says 79 days and 5 hours. 79 days and 5 hours. That's where we are with this. And everyone is coming in. Everyone. Wild to think about. So that's where we are. I mean, it's 79 days away. It's crazy to think about it. UEFA qualifying. Let's see. Let me see where the Czechia, Ireland part is attached. So you have all of these qualifiers. I don't want the qualifiers from the group stage. I don't want that. Let me double check something really quickly here. So I'm trying to figure out the layout of what it's going to look like. UEFA overview, qualifiers, fixtures and results, European qualifiers. Let's see if this helps us any. Yes, I accept. Whatever. Good Lord, people. Okay, so Turkey, Romania, Wales, Bosnia-Herzegovina, Czechia, and the Republic of Ireland. Wild, wild, wild. Both sides came in second in their EQ groups. The winners faced Denmark and North Macedonia in the European qualifiers. The European qualifiers all day Thursday. Knockout playoffs, Turkey, Romania, Italy, Northern Ireland, Wales, Bosnia-Herzegovina, Ukraine, Sweden, Poland, Albania, Slovakia, Kosovo, Denmark, North Macedonia, Czechia, and the Republic of Ireland at 3:45. You had a bunch of friendlies that were canceled, but Thursday it's going to be chaos. So World Cup qualification. That's what you're staring at. All of these match days coming into the final day. All the groups. Someone find Kevin. Make sure that he is safe on Thursday because it's going to be out of control. Dell's going to the USA game in Seattle. Book your flight now, Dell. Maybe you should head to the airport after you book it. Maybe just go ahead and book your flight and just go. Just book your flight and go. And so the way that it looks Thursday, you've got 8 matches at 3:45. Well, 7 at 3:45, 1 at 1 o'clock. Turkey, Romania, Czechia, Ireland, Denmark, North Macedonia, Italy, Northern Ireland, Poland, Albania, Slovakia, Kosovo, Ukraine, Sweden, Wales, and Bosnia-Herzegovina. Then on Tuesday, the winners all square off in your qualifying. So if Kev gets past Czechia on Thursday at 3:45, we'll talk about this on Friday, then it would be a matchup with either Denmark or North Macedonia. So UEFA, they're not done. When you think it's all done, they're not done. So he's crazy. He's Kevin's trying to figure out where he can buy some extra oxygen, I think, for Thursday. Anyway, that was chaos. It was Kevin. And it's always fun to catch up with Kevin in a car or wherever. Probably on FIFA Plus might be the easiest place. So if we were to check and see FIFA Plus, let's just see. So FIFA Plus, watch on FIFA Plus. Let's see what World Cup qualifiers. We click on World Cup qualifiers. We go to FIFA Plus. There's highlights in the qualifiers, CAF, CONCACAF, Road to. So let's see live here. Let's see what we got live. Thursday live. Is it there? FIFA Series, which is what we were looking at. Prima Liga. Okay, so it's not there. So let's see. Let's see if our friends at Soccer America, and we can take care of this while we're talking about it. There's got to be a section involving FIFA where you can watch all of these at once. Women's Champions League today is, by the way, today. On the Plus, League One tonight at 7 o'clock, Knoxville and Corpus Christi. And Amon Zayed. We'll try and catch up with Coach Zayed and find out what's going on in his world. UEFA Champions League, CBS Sports Network at 1:45 and 4, Wolfsburg, Lyon, Arsenal, and Chelsea. ESPN Deportes simulcasting. Paramount Plus is available there as well. And so, do we have Thursday's schedule? Yes. Okay, so FS1 has World Cup qualifying at 3:45. Wales, Bosnia Herzegovina, which is not the match that Kevin Egan wants to see. Bolivia, Suriname is at 6. New Caledonia, Jamaica is at 11. So we'll have all of that. FS2 has Turkey and Romania at 1 o'clock. Poland and Albania at 3:45. FIFA Plus has friendlies. Fox ONE has 5 of the qualifying matches, 5 of the 8. Let's see. They've got a Nations League, Gibraltar and Latvia. Turkey, Romania, Poland, Albania, Wales, Bosnia, Herzegovina, Bolivia, Suriname, New Caledonia, Jamaica. So Fox ONE has 5 of the matchups. Peacock has the qualifying. VeeX has all of the qualifying matches. So if you have access to VeeX, then they would be giving it to you there. So VeeX has them all. Peacock has some. Fox ONE has some. FS2 has some. FS1 has some. So that's your answer when it comes to what's going on with UEFA on Thursday. So easy to watch. I don't know if you're Kevin, you would call it easy to watch, but nevertheless, they are available. That they are available. Whether they're easy to watch is definitely open for interpretation. So, all right. So that's UEFA and what we're staring at there. Okay. Now, yeah, me as Mickey Mouse, of course. Okay, a couple of things that we wanted to get into before Jamie Henderson joins us in about 20 minutes, bottom of the hour, to talk about everything USL League One and Union Omaha. Now, all right, a couple of things we needed to get into. We need to get into John Textor, I know, but it's important financially for Atlanta United, and also gives a greater picture of how things are struggling for him. And yesterday we mentioned how they sacked their coach over the weekend, obviously because he's the problem. Now, we've also got to get into what's going on, believe it or not, in Czechoslovakia. I'm not kidding. It's crazy. That might be toward the end, but let's get into Textor really quickly. Now, and I know that none of this will surprise you. The state, and this is yesterday, the state of Rio de Janeiro is suing Botafogo in the person of John Textor for taxes unpaid. State Attorney General's office has opened 3 new tax enforcement actions for the failure to collect ICMS and the Poverty Combat Fund. The debts added together amount to more than 2.3 million Brazilian real. And that's from Anselmo Gomes at O Globo. And so the idea also of trying to bring in Hernan Crespo depends on John Textor's decision. The club's board sees the Argentine as the name that best fits the current squad. Textor is still not convinced Crespo is the ideal coach, which is stalling the negotiations. Then you were looking at, so let me see the latest here. And it's probably going to a combination of GE and O Globo when it comes to John Textor. So from Vitor Silva and GE Globo, once again this morning, the update on John Textor, once again, he missed the deadline last week. The first round had been paid. The first marker had been made. And now it is trying to play catch up with the remaining sections of the portions that were agreed upon to pay Atlanta United. But obviously you made the first, apparently, then you missed the second. So now what is the larger question? And that is the larger point. So the debt from Almada, so John Textor, according to Noticia da Bola and GE Globo, Textor delays the installment, negotiates a deal, apparently, to avoid a new transfer ban. Overdue since the 15th, so 9 days overdue. Clubs are always and remain in contact to resolve the situation. Texter requested a longer deadline to make the payment, even though he had agreed to previous terms. $10 million up front, 4 installments of 5. Contract included a penalty for late payment. The amount is slightly more than double the total value and must be paid up front. However, to enforce this, Atlanta United would need to activate the collection clause. At this moment, Atlanta has not yet activated the clause because it understands Botafogo's situation, which explained that it is dealing with cash flow issues. Once again, that is from GE Globo and from Noticia da Bola. And so GE Globo, once again, so let me see if there's anything that's attached to those particular statements. And so if we go to GE Globo and basically just do a John Texter search. Yes, always translate Portuguese. Thank you. So if we do a John Texter search, this is stuff that you never really want to do, but right now, Globo Esporte has a larger series called The Fall of the Eagle. Botafogo from refuge to hostage, or a never-ending story. And so you end up with all of this. Botafogo being used by Texter as a refuge to save his position at Eagle. We knew this. And there are words that they are looking at, the misunderstanding and slip up in quotation marks. And so it is going through everything that's there with Iconic and Aries and laying everything out. So this is probably your required reading, is The Fall of the Eagle, the Irland Simoes series. Going down the page. Today, it is understood that Eagle Football Holdings' debt exceeds $1.2 billion, a figure that grows each month. Operationally, the holding company had a net loss of €200 million in the 24-25 financial year. Simoes says, therefore, continuing to believe that Texter, quote, made mistakes only after 24 titles is to opt for a misguided or overly lenient version of the entire Eagles saga. But this only happened because John Texter had Botafogo as a refuge when everything started to fall apart. Now Botafogo is a hostage. Monday, terms of the loans obtained at the beginning of the year worth $50 million with the aim of freeing Botafogo from the transfer ban in the Thiago Almada Atlanta United case proved to be much more predatory than they had initially seemed. According to Laura Jardim's blog on O Globo, economic rights of Botafogo's players were placed under international jurisdiction in Switzerland to prevent the debt incurred with GDA Luma Capital and Hutton Capital from being included in a potential bankruptcy proceeding. The same act of fiduciary assignment also involved, quote, future revenues, rights, and movable and immovable assets, and a pledge on all shares that Eagle holds in the company in favor of the new creditor, end quote. In other words, according to Simoes, the move could also split up Botafogo shares and reduce Eagle's own stake. Immediate results, harsh consequences, since the other Eagle shareholders will not accept the dilution of the company's stake in yet another maneuver by Texter. Some believe this is just another way to buy time using the discomfort of their opposing partners to their advantage. Measures would be so blatantly irregular within the bylaws and shareholders' agreement of Botafogo, as well as potentially within the sphere of Eagle Football Holdings. Chances of a court decision not annulling them are very remote, even more so now that the social club no longer poses as a loyal ally. On the other hand, the move by Texter basically ties Botafogo to his designs at a time when it's already known that the SAF, a type of football club in Brazil, needs a judicial reorganization as soon as possible. Without such important assets, there is no possibility of drawing up a feasible plan for judicial reorganization because there's simply almost nothing to present to creditors. Same article from Jardim. Debt's already in the order of 3 billion reais, including that was what was heralded pre-SAF, reduced very little. Texter plays Botafogo at a crossroads and as a shield in the battle he's still waging at Eagle. Botafogo doesn't have much time to lose. Fight at the bottom of the Brasileiro, fiercer than ever, and need to keep commitments to players central to avoiding relegation, and Textor is apparently using this to achieve his goals. Bankruptcy is also listed as a possibility. So if you literally do a search, the hiring process for hiring a new coach, once again, it's going to rest with Textor. There hasn't been an interview yet. Textor sees stubbornness in Anselmi before his dismissal and is irritated by Botafogo's defensive consistencies. And so now you have folks coming forward who's like, don't trust John Textor. Literally, you look at the headlines on Globo, and it is just affecting them on and off the field. You fire Anselmi, and this is where you are. Not that you necessarily want to continue to have these kinds of conversations, but it's important in the grand sphere of things with Atlanta United. And do we actually have that officially official, Ricky? Is it officially official? Is it officially official? So we have Maxime Crepeau. Let's hang on. It's like, where's my it's like I'm trying to sit here and look at something, and it's not helping me. Jamie Henderson coming up in about 15 minutes to talk about everything USL League One. A generational pull. Okay. Okay, so as of zoomed in. So it is officially official. It is absolutely officially official. So congratulations to Orlando City. No word yet. We'll do some digging and try and figure out if we can find the terms of the deal, but we'll go ahead and do this. Griezmann official as of about top of the hour, 17 minutes ago. Griezmann is a Lion. Signed global soccer icon Antoine Griezmann from Atleti, joining the club in 26 on a contract through 27-28 with an option for 28-29 as a DP. And so that is officially official. Antoine Griezmann is in, and they have changed their header on the 280-character app. And Griezmann is in a purple T-shirt in one of the end zones. And I imagine what happened was they flew him in to take the pictures, turned him around, and he went back to Spain. And he might be doing the car wash today. So let me see if Griezmann is doing the car wash today in any manner, way, shape, or form. And let's see. So nothing. Well, let's see. They're waiting for the loading to happen. Nothing in the official emails from Orlando themselves, except I have stuff from the Pride. I do not have anything updated from Orlando City themselves. So nothing since 5:22 this morning. And the last thing I got from Orlando was from the Pride about Barbara Bonda yesterday. So nothing on the terms for Griezmann, but he is a DP. And remember that they had to adjust their terms for making Griezmann fit. And did I spell it correctly? Yes, I did. Okay, so let's see if we have anything resembling terms. Remaining with Atletico till the end of the season, expected to begin playing for the MLS side in July. Free transfer from Atleti, which is big. After the deal for March was rejected, agreement was done in the summer. And so, okay, well, so much for that. Let's see. Information, AFP, and receiving clearance to fly to Florida. Nothing on the terms themselves as of yet. Nothing in the financials that is tied to Griezmann. So he's in this summer is when he starts. Okay, and then there's the official photo of him in the end zone, caddy cornered to the billboard, the matrix board. So in for a year and a half, option for another year after that. And so we'll find out. But once again, no financial terms have been listed. But once again, through it's a year and a half and then another year option after that. So option possibly for 28, 29. And so that is the Antoine Griezmann signing. So that's officially official after it was bandied about and figured about. And so now it is officially official. So congratulations to the purple team. Yeah, exactly. David, if you'll see him in the bins on 9-9. David, as if we needed further reasons to dislike the purple team. Yeah. Well, and so now the machinations that have to be done with the purple team, considering that they have, like I said, this makes officially a fourth DP, but what that does is it means that you have to make a decision on one of your current DPs. And the Garber Bucks numbers, once again, from January 20 to February 20, had decreased by 25%. Coming into this morning, you had Martin Ojeda, Marco Pasalic, and Brian Ojeda. Those were your DP slots. And so if we were to go to MLS players and go to the salary guide just to kind of get an idea as to who might be the easier one of the bunch to buy down, let's take a peek at the numbers and let's see who it might be. So you're looking at Ojeda, Pasalic, and Ojeda. So Martin Ojeda was making just over $1 million, guaranteed compensation, base of $960. Pasalic was 1.6, and last year, as an idea, just to get Martin Ojeda, Brian Ojeda was making 708. So if you take, say, Brian Ojeda, either way, the Martin Ojeda or the Brian Ojeda salary figure is not insurmountable. You could probably buy them down with Garber Bucks, turn them into a high TAM, and then you slide Griezmann into your DP slot. So the machinations are there and okay to navigate and figure out what's going on with the salary structure that's attached to Orlando City. So they've got 2.6 as of February 20, as of about a month ago, they had 2.6 million in Garber Bucks. And you could take one of the Ojedas, buy them down, turn them into a high TAM, bring in Griezmann by July, prorate it, and you'd be okay. So it won't be that bad to navigate when it comes to the Griezmann signing for the purple team. So purple team bringing in Griezmann starting in the summer on a free, which is a good piece of business. And so it was interesting to see that layout, and it has now come to the fore. But it should be easy to navigate if you are, in fact, if you are attached to the purple team and it comes to your financials, then it should be fairly easy to navigate. So Griezmann in starting in the summer, sorry, and so we'll see what it looks like for all of those folks. So yes, hating the purple team here in the rest of the soccer footprint in the Southeast just became a lot easier with Griezmann. But the thing that gets me, and I will be intrigued at this. First off, you're bringing him in under an interim manager. Unless something happens between now and July, where does he have any suggestions as to how he would like to have the team go forward? Is there something there that could be added to the stacks? I don't know. I'm just asking. So he signs on a free, which is, like I said, good business. He signs, but he's under an interim manager, and there's no word on any discussions, going back to our conversation last week with Mike Gramajo from Watch TV, about bringing someone in. That this is Perelman's for the 26th season. And so you have Griezmann coming in with an interim manager, the halfway point of the year, to try to navigate something and you don't know where you're going to be in the standings, and Antoine Griezmann, I don't think you'll necessarily be too keen if the team isn't doing well under an interim manager starting his tenure in July. So let me get to the Orlando City schedule here. So if he comes in the summer, so he starts after, let's go to the schedule. So after the World Cup break. So he comes in July 22nd, probably the 25th, maybe held out to the matchup at home against Nashville. You are looking at, after the World Cup break, 2, and then Leagues Cup. So you're dealing with multiple competitions at the very least. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 8 matches in August, by the way, including a group stage of World Cup. 15, 21, 22 matches, including group stage of the Leagues Cup after you come back. And so it's 3 matches at Inter & Co. in a week, 4 matches in 10 days, 5 matches in 15. To start the month of August, Antoine Griezmann will be a part of a club that has 5 matches in 15 days, including Leagues Cup. Leagues Cup the 5th, the 8th, and the 12th. You have regular season matches before and after that. So playing a full season in La Liga, coming over on a free, and then in August, you're playing 5 matches in 15 days to start off. And you are literally playing 8 matches in a month, and technically it's 8 matches it's 8 matches in a month. In that first month that you're there, first full month. That's a lot to ask your new DP, who is coming in from a full season in La Liga, hopefully having won a Copa del Rey for his coach, whom he has not won a title for in their time together. So all of that energy exhausted comes through that season, comes in it after the World Cup, and then in the first full month that he's going to be there, you've got an 8-match August. David, I don't know. If it's a purple disaster, does MLS rules allow a 6-month immediate loan? I don't know. It's a good question. That is a good question. We will find out. But it is time now to wander to Omaha, Nebraska, unless Jamie's in someplace else that we don't know about. I mean, he could be like in Kansas or Wyoming or something like that. But we'll find out. Find out what it's like for somebody to be a sporting director with multiple competitions. And yes, we believe in proper hydration for guesting, so that's perfectly fine too. I didn't want him to do a spit take on his lens, but here we go. Jamie Henderson, sporting director, Omaha. How are you, sir?
John, I'm well. How are you?
Look at you with the over the shoulder.
See that? Good placement, right?
Yeah. Well done with the product placement. Are you hiding plays that Vincenzo Candela's drawing up, or what do you do? You just hide.
There was some information on there that I couldn't quite rub out today. I needed to stay on there, so it's a great opportunity to put that. That shirt's normally up here somewhere next to a signed one by Pedro Amador. Actually, he gave me a gift before I left.
Nice. So, reason that we dialed you up is because Media Day was happening up there at Union Omaha, and we went to our buddy Will Clark, and we were like, hey, can we take part in Media Day? But it means taking part in catching up with you. And so our Media Day with Union Omaha is catching up with the sporting director and find out, how is the sporting director at Union Omaha?
Fantastic. It's been a whirlwind since I joined, John. It's gone so quickly. I think the last time we talked was in August, right, when I first joined, and between now and then so much has happened, and now we're 3 games into the season, and it's, you know how it is in this world, it just comes and goes so quickly. So I'm enjoying it, I'm embracing it, and it's going to be a good season for us.
What's the biggest thing that you think you've learned so far about being a sporting director there in that league?
You know, I think when we first talked, my biggest challenge was going to be to understand the full level of USL, not just in League One, but into the Championship as well. And that's what I've spent a lot of my time doing over the last 6 or 7 months is understanding that level. It's been quite a turnover in the roster. We brought in 9 new players this season, a full new coaching staff as well. So every day's been different, and so something else pops up every day that I'm learning. But it's been so enjoyable, and really, really happy with how the team is shaping up for this year. And like I said, we're really excited about what's to come this season.
And you're having to juggle Open Cup, having to do with all that too, huh?
Yeah, so we had a really long week last week. We was away at Spokane, first game of the season. We then travelled. We flew from Spokane to St. Louis midweek, played that midweek Open Cup game, and then we was back home this weekend for our first home opener, which we got 3 points, which was really positive. So it's been a long week. Guys have had a couple of days off, and we'll be back at it either this afternoon or tomorrow morning for another home game this weekend against Corpus Christi.
When you look at League One, and I know that there have been difficulties with one of the franchises, obviously here in our footprint back with South Georgia Torment at the beginning of the year, how much of an adjustment was it for you and the other sporting directors to try and figure out, okay, we've got to fix this on the fly. How do we make this as best we can? Either we turn it into a friendly week or we just take the week off. What was it like for you getting that kind of a trial by fire about having to try to do things behind the scenes?
Yeah, it's first off, it's disappointing for everybody, right? Everyone connected to Georgia Tormented, the league. It's a situation that everybody wish hadn't happened, but it's happened, and now everybody has to adjust a little bit. Hopefully all of the players at Tormentor have found new homes now as well, which is positive. But yeah, in terms of the logistics, it's everyone has to then start helping each other out. I think it's really important that within the USL market that everybody starts to help each other out. We're in the same situation, trying to find that 19th home game, understanding what the away game looks like, and we're working hard now to find that 19th home game, and hopefully we have something to announce in the coming weeks. A really exciting matchup for us, which will be great for the Omaha community, but great for growing USL as well. So hopefully we have some news to share on that in the coming weeks. But yeah, we're working hard. Is
it behind the jersey?
No, yeah, that's one thing that was not behind the jersey. That got rubbed out a couple of days ago.
When you obviously, there's a lot that you get to learn about yourself in this kind of a situation. How have you specifically adjusted to Omaha and to Nebraska and that new part of your life where every match day at Mercedes-Benz, you're coming in, you're styling and profiling in a suit, and now you're sporting director out there in a different environment entirely where there is a market that loves its sport. What's it been like for you and the family to adjust to what life is like in Omaha?
Yeah, well, lucky enough for me, I know what Omaha's like. I went to school here for 4 years. My wife is from small town Nebraska. Her family lives in Omaha. So the transition for me from Atlanta to Omaha was really easy in the sense that my wife was able to stay in Atlanta and finish projects out at her school while I lived here with some of her family. And then we were able to move into our house late December, which was great. And then Bailey, my wife, joined me in January. But the transition for, just lifestyle has been super easy. Now the transition for work life has also been really easy, surprisingly easy, because it's such a fantastic club. The ownership, GM, all of the staff, the coaching staff, the players have been so welcoming to me, and they made my life a lot easier. Now obviously when you're talking about Atlanta United and comparing it to Union Omaha, at Atlanta I was so fortunate. We had everything, right? The training facility is world class. You go there, my office, my desk was there right next to the training facility. I get to go to the best stadium in the world, in the Mercedes-Benz Stadium, and go there and work. But this Union Omaha and the USL has more of a grassroots feel to it at times, but it's really refreshing because you come here and everybody, no matter what their title is, what their role is at the club, they are doing those little bit extra to make the game day special. Whether it's myself and when we was playing out at Warner Park, which is the baseball franchise here, chipping in and making sure the field boards are set up, making sure everything is ready to go. If ticket sales need help, do I need to go out and help them with that? It's, the club's motto is one means all, and that's never been truer to this club. Everybody chips in to make this a special place, and I'm loving it, John. It's great. It's got a real good feeling about it, and the club's ambitious, and there's some really exciting projects coming down the line.
Yeah, back in November, there was the announcement of the $140 million soccer stadium, live, work, play environment, which we're used to seeing in USL League One and a bunch of different markets. And I think, yes, when you play at Warner Park in Papilla, Nebraska, it has its own feel, its own vibe, and you understand that when you're going to be a part of things either at UNO or at Warner Park, that it is Union Omaha. But I think that stadium coming online is that next stage in that, to embrace what the sport is doing and how it's growing there, specifically in Nebraska. I mean, I'm looking forward to seeing this next stage as well. And I imagine that the vibe's been pretty hot since you stepped in, dating back to November with this new project online.
Yeah, look, this is something that the club's been working on for 6 years. Unfortunately, it fell through a few years ago, but it's on the right tracks now, and it's going to be a super exciting period, not just for Union Omaha, but for the community of Omaha, which is very soccer driven. So they love their soccer in this city, in this state, and there's some very good soccer players in here. I was fortunate enough to coach high school and club here in my college days, so I know the type of players that come out of here. Just for an example that everybody will know is Duncan Maguire, who's at Orlando. He went to Creighton Prep, went to Creighton, and he's doing extremely well in the MLS and has had a lot of European interest. So this state produces players, and having this soccer specific stadium outside of Morrison, which is a fantastic facility for Creighton to be playing in, this is going to bring the community together. It's going to be downtown next to the baseball stadium where they have College World Series. The whole district's going to be great, and it opens up so many opportunities, not just for men's soccer, but for women's soccer later on as well, and hopefully an academy later down the line. So the project's great. The ideas are fantastic. It's just piecing it all together now, being patient, but it's going to be really good when this is done.
Tammy Henderson, sporting director at Union Omaha and USL League One, hiding information from us by posting Atlanta United jerseys in his studio space, dropping by this morning. You mentioned your time at Bellevue and coaching and all that kind of stuff. How has it changed or grown from the time that you were coaching there to now when coming in as a sporting director? What has the growth curve been like for the sport since you had that first influence on the high school level to where it is now?
Yeah, it's grown. It keeps growing year on year. You see more and more soccer-specific facilities being built every time. I'd come back once a year, normally while I was living in Atlanta for Christmas with my wife, and I'm not kidding. Each year there was a new soccer-specific area, and you think this is growing. It keeps growing. The fan base is growing. The excitement around the sport is growing. I think it's not just a city of Omaha or a state of Nebraska thing. I think we can both agree that it's a countrywide thing, right? I think the sport is becoming quickly one of the most popular sports in this country. It's obviously going to have to compete extremely hard against American football, baseball, basketball, but it's there, and it's not going anywhere, is it? So we're really fortunate to work in this industry, and I expect it to continue to create excitement, especially with the World Cup coming as well. That's going to create huge excitement and hopefully continue the growth that we're seeing now.
How do you compete but not compete, if you know what I mean? Because soccer has its own universe, and it's got its own vibe. It has its fans and all this kind of stuff. How do you continue to carve out Los Bujos place, understanding that folks they're gonna go to Lincoln on a college football Saturday. That's there. You want to bring them in, but how do you grow and not compete, if that makes any sense?
Yeah, it's nearly impossible to compete with Nebraska football, and we have to be very careful. That's just the reality. And what we do when we're scheduling, Alexis, our GM, does an excellent job at scheduling games around Nebraska football. Now it becomes very difficult to schedule those at times because of TV, but we try to make sure that we work hand in hand with all of these sports to make sure that Nebraska football is always going to have its support. That's not going anywhere. But to make sure that we, can maximise what we have in the stands is making sure that we work around that. No need to compete. I think everyone wants sport in the state of Nebraska, whether it's volleyball, which is so well supported in Nebraska, whether football, creating men's soccer, creating women's soccer, everything. Everyone, wants to work together to make sure all sports are successful.
When it comes to bringing in the kind of player that you want to bring in, obviously you get to have conversations with coaches and GMs and things like that. So when you're sporting director and, Coach Candela's like, well, hey, I want to bring in somebody like a Sammy Gadiri. I want to bring in a Brett Coleman. I want to bring in folks like that. When you're sitting there and trying to figure out how you want the club to grow and succeed, what are those conversations like about bringing in the right player? And I mean the right player on the field and off, so they integrate completely.
Yeah, for us, myself and Vinny, we have a very similar mindset. We're going to bring in the person first. To grow this club and to grow the sport, you have to have good people representing you on and off the pitch. And that was something that we have done extremely well this off-season, is making sure that we sound out the right people who are going to represent Omaha in the right way off the field. We're fortunate enough that we have not only good people, but good people who are good soccer players. And that's the mindset that we want to set. We need to make sure that in this tight-knit community that we're working in, these guys are getting out in the community. They're growing the sport, they're growing the club, they're willing to do it. They're public facing, they get into schools and they do clinics. That's so big for us. And we have worked extremely hard in the off season, having multiple conversations with players before we sign them, speaking to players that they've played with, former coaches at professional level, former coaches at college level. So we do a lot of sounding out of players to understand what they're like, what their personality is like before we sign them. There's something we take extremely seriously, and that won't go anywhere as long as I'm here.
Okay, feel free to hydrate while I ask this next question. We believe in proper hydration. So how different is that now? How much more investment in the player is there, in the person is there, before investing in the player and looking at it? How much behind the scenes and off the field stuff are you looking at more than you might have in the past?
It was the same at Atlanta United, John. I spent weeks on end in Europe at times meeting with players before we signed them. Because Arthur, he wants people to represent Atlanta United in the right way off the field as well. Just because it's a bigger club with a bigger fan base, it doesn't mean that you take any backward steps in terms of the people you're bringing in. You want to make sure you're bringing in good people who are going to represent the club well, and that's a big part that I've made sure that I brought over to Omaha with me, which is probably a little bit more important because Atlanta has its fan base, right? That's there. That's not going anywhere. Of course, it's going to continue to grow, but here I still believe we're just scraping the surface of what we can do. So making sure that those people are going to represent as well is so important. Sometimes, in a scouting process, you can see what they're like technically, you can see what they're like physically. Tactically, you can see what they're like, but the fourth point is, psychological. So what they're like as a person, that's the bit that you can't really see on video or when you go to scout them. So getting face-to-face time, get on calls with them, that's so important. And, we're lucky this year, or not to say lucky, we've done a lot of work to understand that we've brought in some very good people who also happen to be very good soccer players. And if you can get that combination of the two, then you've got success coming.
No, that's really cool that you say that you're just barely scratching the surface on it when you're looking at trying to figure out how to bring in the right players. How much time, I guess, when you budget your time when you're looking for players and assembling a roster, how much time is spent with the off the field stuff? How much time is spent looking at huddle and highlights and things like that? So has the balance shifted to where you're spending more time on the off the field because the on the field is so much easier to access these days?
Not so much, more time. I think more time is spent watching the player, but making sure that we sound out a lot of people to get their advice on players, just on a personality standpoint. And we're both very well connected, myself and Vinny and the other coaching staff around the league, and are able to find these people who we can ask questions of, just to understand what the personality traits of the person is outside of the field. Of course, we're going to spend hours and hours watching players to make sure they're the right profile fit in terms of their playing style, but then also we won't take we won't slack on the personality point. That just won't happen.
For someone who wants to come and see the Murder Owls do their thing, when they walk in the door, stylistically, what are folks going to see this year?
Yeah, I think the style of football that we want to play is going to be attacking, entertaining football with control at times. The first 3 games, you'll see the percentage of possession is very high, but we're also creating opportunities as well. We want fans to come into the stadium and enjoy what they're seeing. They want to be entertained. They want to see goals. That's going to happen. I think a perfect example of that was this past weekend. We won 3-2 against a very, very good Boise side. They're new into the league, but they've got an excellent roster, a very good coach. And it was an entertaining game of football, and that's what we want. There's going to be games where it's 3-3, 4-3. It's going to be an entertaining style of football, but we're going to have control, and we're going to... Vinny is so good at giving the players the freedom to go and express themselves and go and enjoy it, because if they're not enjoying it, then there's no point. So they're going to go out and enjoy it. They're going to entertain the fans. We're going to win some games. Of course, we're going to lose some games because the USL is so tight with so many competitive teams, but it's going to be entertaining.
When you look at USL League One, you're starting to get to the point to where with the clubs and everything, you're starting to get into those rivalries and those hubs that I think they were looking at to try to help things out, at least financially, when it comes to travel. Right now you're starting to get that Pacific Northwest hub. You're starting to get the drifting down into California. The Southeast has always been a part of that big footprint. And I think that probably for the longest time, a lot of folks might have associated Forward Madison as like the number one rival for Union Omaha. Now you've got Corpus Christi added to the mix, where last time I checked, Amon Zayed, he kind of knows what he's doing when it comes to being a coach. What's it like to see USL League One grow to where you're starting to fill in all of these geographic pockets and not ignore any part of the country now?
It's great, and I think we're going to continue to see it grow. I think when promotion relegation comes into USL, we're going to see more and more teams, and there's going to be more and more local rivalries. Right? I think you talk about geographical local rivalries is Forward Madison, but you have competitive rivalries now, and what Union Omaha is always going to have, because of the success that the club has had, always going to have that target on our back where teams are going to want to beat Union Omaha, and that's great, and that's great for the players to have that pressure on their back where teams are going to come and give everything every single weekend against Union Omaha because it's a team to beat. And I love that pressure. It's the same pressure we had at Atlanta United, right? It's Atlanta United. We've had success. We've got the best stadium in the league. We've got the best training facility. Feel like we've got the best players, have that target on our back, and I love that, and that's just a competitive part of me. I love it.
You mentioned ProRel. Let me ask about that. And from what I've gathered in talking to a bunch of different owners and front office folks, is that everybody digs it. Everybody's in on this, and they're ready for it because you're going to have that added level up top, and then you're going to have obviously what is currently Championship and League One and so on. So, as with your upbringing and what you're used to seeing, what's your feedback been about promotion, relegation, USL? What has everybody been talking to you about when this seems to be coming down the pike?
The questions that I've had, that have been asked to me, when we do fan forums, is do you think it's a good idea? And I've always been for promotion relegation. The one hang-up I always had with MLS prior to working in MLS was that there's no jeopardy, right? You can have a poor season and there's no repercussions for it. You actually get the first pick of the draft, but that's the American way as well. And I think it's a format that is going to be so exciting. I think you're going to see very exciting games of football because of it. I think talking about the growth of the fan base, that's going to continue to grow now because you have got something to really hold on to. I think it's going to be great. I don't know when this is going to be rolled out, but the conversations are getting stronger. But for the growth of the USL, I think it's going to be fantastic.
One more question for you. Open Cup round 2, week from today. trip to Indy to take on Indy 11, and I imagine there's going to be more than just 11 there on their bench and everything. But expectations going into Indy, they have been kind of up and down. You don't know which version you're going to get. They might be primed for the picking, considering how their season started off kind of rough. What kind of a matchup are you expecting coming out of a game week, going into an Open Cup game, and then another 3-match in a week setup starting this weekend?
It's another rough week for us, but we're super excited about it. We love going up against championship competition. It just to show where we're at as well. To be honest with you, India are a good team. They've got good players. They're well coached. It's going to be a very competitive game, but it won't be a game that India would have seen that draw as well, and I don't think they'd have been too pleased with it. So it's going to be a competitive game of football. I think we talked about on our last call how the gap between USL League One and Championship is getting smaller, and we'll start to see that. The guys out here, they're super competitive group. They are so excited for the game. They just see it as another game of football that they want to go out and win. So it's going to be a good game next week.
And when you've got Rashid Nuhu in net, and everybody's kind of staring at what he's been able to do as an Open Cup killer in cup sets.
Yeah.
I mean, literally, that you sit there, it's like you drift to Union Omaha, you see Rashid, you're like, yep, I know what I got to deal with.
Yeah.
Great to see you, my friend. Please don't be a stranger. You know that if you ever want to vent your spleen about anything, you know where the garage door opener is. You know where the key is under.
Yeah.
And if you ever want to remove that jersey behind you and let us know what's the wording behind it, you can do that at any time too. So.
Well, next time, John, I'll make sure that's off there for you.
It's all good, brother. It's great to see you. Keep kicking, you know what, and we'll catch up with you soon, my friend. Great to see you.
Appreciate it, John. Take care. Thank you.
There goes Jamie Henderson, Grand Exalted Poobah of everything at Union Omaha. Well, actually, he's a sporting director. He's still a Grand Exalted Poobah, but now very, very cool to catch up with Jamie and find out what is going on with everything there, everything from Open Cup to all the things. It is all the things, literally, with Jamie. And it's great to see, because Jamie, for those of you that may not know, as he mentioned, his time in Nebraska predated his time with Atlanta United. And he spent time there as native of another Lincoln, graduated from Bellevue University, 3-year captain, men's soccer team, 2015, second team all NSAA. And so he was a director of player development at Papillon Soccer Club. So he knows what it's like. As he mentioned, his wife being from there, spending time there, working his way from there to Atlanta United, now going back to Union Omaha, your 2024 USL League One champ. But it's fun for us to see how things evolve and to be a part of and to see where things are going with Jamie as he continues to grow. And when you have a head coach like Vincenzo Candela, who is, well known and respected in USL League One circles and USL circles, and to have that club that has been assembled this year, obviously they're dealing with multiple competitions. That's why I wanted to ask Jamie about that and what it's like to kind of juggle all of the things and have all of those rivalries that's attached. So right now, out of the blocks, once again, just 2 matches played. And so they are right now, they're in 8th, once again, a win and a loss. But yeah, it was 3-2, just back and forth game against Boise, and then they lose 1-0 to Spokane. But then they get the big win in Open Cup to start things out. And then they go to Indy. I think, Indy's in for a rough one because, once again, you start with Rashid Nuhu and you work your way forward there. We've seen in the past Union Omaha be a giant killer, not just a cup set, but a giant killer, knocking off a couple of MLS franchises when they've had the chance. And so to see how things are going with Jamie there in USL League One, it's really cool to see those next steps and just to kind of get the progress report with him going forward to catch up with Jamie and find out what's going on. Very, very cool that we are able to do those kinds of things. So very, very cool to be there with and find out what's going on with Jamie as he kind of gets the opportunity to go home. Okay, I promised you before we were leaving to tell you about what's going on in Czechoslovakia. Like I said, I kind of got into what was going on with Texter, and we know that it's major issues once again. And so now apparently he is trying to figure out how you can sit there and go, what I'd like to do is this. Literally, it is almost the wimpy school of sports management. Gladly pay you Tuesday for a player today. So first installment apparently went in, and so now there's $20 million left on the table, and you missed the deadline 9 days ago. So now apparently it is up to Atlanta United to figure out, okay, here's what we're going to do, and what are we going to do about the $20 million that is accruing interest? And knowing John Texter and his business dealings in the past, it wouldn't surprise me if the interest rate that he agreed to was somewhat astronomical. But we will definitely find out what the future is there. But Czechoslovakia, and this is definitely something to end the program on today because of how whacked it is. Crazy. So in Czechia. So here we go. And you might have seen just the quick wire copy. There's a lot more to it than that. So, biggest corruption scandal in the nation's history. Massive raid led by the Czech police, Europol, and Interpol. Particular focus on Moravia. Launched in close cooperation with UEFA's anti-corruption unit, targets widespread match fixing, links to betting fraud. Not limited to minor leagues. Reaching all the way to the first division and doesn't even spare youth categories. So the National Center Against Organized Crime has confirmed it's conducting criminal proceedings. Spokesperson Jaroslav Ibehej confirmed this morning. FACR President David Trunda declared a state of high alert first thing in the morning, sent a message to executive committee members being an urgent SOS alert with a red phone, published by isport.cz, according to the report. The investigation had been going for 3 years. Massive operation underway. Europol and Interpol involved in the operation. Everything being coordinated with the UEFA anti-match fixing unit. Operations concentrated primarily in Moravia, covering 99% of the area, involving several dozen individuals. Result of cooperation between the FACR and the Czech police. Ethics Committee will initiate proceedings today against more than 40 players, officials, referees, and clubs, including those from the top league down to the fourth division, as well as youth leagues. In Football Report, sources, FACR participated in the investigation. No police raid took place directly at the headquarters, as some reports might have suggested, according to iSport. Suspects include, for example, a mayor who owns the first division team. Reportedly, this is the only first division club involved. Referees from the professional roster, behind-the-scenes individuals, 2 specific names already being mentioned, both of whom have officiated major league matches in the past. The association's leadership immediately convened an emergency meeting of the EXCO, followed by a press conference. Now, for one player, Samuel Shigot, the Ethics Commission, in cooperation with police, has pulled a file on him. 5 specific charges on one player, including bribery, betting on his own rigged matches, and deliberately influencing results. Became entangled in the corruption back in March of 23, supposed to influence a match against Opava's match against Lishen, exactly according to agreed instructions for payment. When he was with Opava in May of 23, he was supposed to play the role of an actor, quote unquote, in the penalty area in a match against Varnsdorf. Instructions clear, fall for a penalty, which was going to be whistled by the ref, who was also influenced in the scandal. According to the file, the player did not stop at friendlies. In July of 23, allegedly tried to influence the outcome of a match against the Polish side in exchange for a bribe. Beginning of 24, during a match against the team that he was playing for, he not only knew the match was rigged, but even placed a bet on it himself, despite being a direct participant on the field. Then in March of 24, suspected of accepting a bribe from the mayor of a town to influence a match. As a bonus to the cash, he was also promised a transfer to that particular club if his club was relegated to a lower league. Since the summer, the plan was for him to transfer to Slavia Prague. Obviously, that's not happening now. Players' offenses. Šigut's offenses for which he was accused. Influencing a match for money. Supposed to intentionally adapt his performance to prearranged instructions in exchange for a bribe. Penalty simulation in May of 23. Once again, falling, and the ref was in on it, allegedly. Attempted corruption in a friendly. Influencing performance in a friendly for a fee. Betting on a rigged match in January of 24. Participated in and placed a bet on it himself. Corruption and barter trade in March of 24. Once again, getting the bribe from the mayor who owned the club for influencing the match and was supposed to include promise of a transfer if the club that he was playing for then was relegated. So now, one club in the top flight is on the list of suspects. Once again, you get the mayor that's attached. Chairman of the FACR Ethics Committee, the primary source is betting, quote, however, there are also several cases of purely sports corruption. Co-owner of a second division club, questioned by the police, alleged inclusion of young players in the network, allegedly because of the bets in the youth league. However, the police did not appear at the offices at the initial press conference. FA leadership responded to the details by calling the executive committee meeting. It had previously filed a criminal complaint based on its own findings and has been cooperating with the police throughout. People from the association currently sitting with police officers in a police headquarters. Ethics Commission still starting proceedings today. 47 players, officials, refs, and clubs from the fourth league, plus the youth. Lesson learned here, if you follow what's going on in Czechia, in the entire soccer pyramid in Czechia, then you got a lot of work on because there's a lot going on. So that was your bit of crazy when it came to Czechia. I know we were supposed to go over everything that happened in Major League Soccer over the weekend. Probably going to do that tomorrow. We've also got to catch up on the men's national team tomorrow, since they are working their way through their practices at the Children's Healthcare of Atlanta training ground, getting ever closer to the activity going up against Belgium and Portugal, 2 matches in a week, and we'll let you know what's going on there. Gossip, rumor, and innuendo before we get out of here today. But once again, thanks to Kevin Egan for battling frickin' traffic as he was on his way to Good Day Atlanta. And thanks to Jamie Henderson to kind of give us the update as to everything that's going on there. Gattuso is saying that Chiesa is out. Send him home ahead of the World Cup playoff. Gattuso says that, quote, only someone without blood running through their veins wouldn't feel nervous. Gattuso, obviously, he's ready to go against Northern Ireland, suggested he sent home Chiesa in what could amount to a definitive break with the player who had the trophy run to the Euros 5 years ago. And so Italy is in jeopardy at the same stage for coming World Cup North America. 2 losses to Norway in qualifying. They need to beat Northern Ireland at home in Bergamo. And then Wales or Bosnia and Herzegovina away next week to avoid going 16 years without even playing a match in the World Cup. Chiesa sent back to Liverpool after briefly rejoining the national team for the first time in almost 2 years. Gattuso said he had some minor physical issues. We decided it was useless for him to stay. Gattuso was asked why Chiesa had been singled out when Tonali, Scamaccia, and Bastoni are staying. Former AC Milan coach announced when he took over from Spalletti in June, injured players would remain with the squad to improve team spirit. Nicola Cambiahi has replaced Chiesa on the roster. Chiesa's played only sparingly since joining Liverpool from Juve 2 years ago, started only 1 Premier League match this season. Northern Ireland has lost a key player. Daniel Ballard ruled out with a hamstring. Connor Bradley already out injured. Gattuso said he chose to play in Bergamo to create a more positive atmosphere. When they lost to Norway at the San Siro, noticed AC and Inter Milan fans would whistle at players from opposing clubs. If Italy does qualify, they'd be in Group B with Canada, Qatar, and Switzerland. So we have that intel that is going on. So literally, Chiesa sent home. Other injured players hanging out because it would improve team morale. Manchester United interested in signing Alphonso Davies, as reported by Bild's Christian Falk. They want to bring in competition for Luke Shaw and Patrick Dorgu. Teo Malacia expected to leave. Enzo Fernandez open to joining Real Madrid, would consider it a dream move, according to TalkSport. He's been linked to Los Blancos, PSG, and Al Ittihad, though he doesn't want to move to Saudi at this stage of his career. Reported to be disappointed by the manner of Enzo Maresca's exit, ready to leave this summer. Arsenal doing groundwork over the signing of Lille midfielder Ayoub Bouadi, but Liverpool, City, and Chelsea are also keen, according to Team Talk. 90 appearances for Lille, despite only being 18. Scouts from Arsenal and Liverpool in attendance for the win against Marseille. Barcelona monitoring Juve's Andrea Cambiasso, according to Gazzetta dello Sport. Spalletti sees the 26-year-old as a key player, has a contract that runs through 29, so Juve value his transfer at €50 million, unlikely to consider any offers under that figure. Cambiasso, previously linked with Manchester City, but an approach from Barcelona could tempt him. Talks have already taken place between Dortmund and Jadon Sancho's reps. BVB president Hans-Joachim Watzke is the driving force behind the Bundesliga club's efforts to bring Sancho back 5 years after letting him move for €85 million. Hasn't settled at United. Been on loan at Dortmund, Chelsea, and now Villa, out of contract in the summer. Received numerous offers. Dortmund believed the winger would be willing to take a pay cut to rejoin. Other rumors. United and Chelsea could step up their interest in Morgan Rogers, despite Villa demanding a fee of £100 million. Spalletti has requested for Juve to sign Alisson, Bernardo Silva, and Randall Colomowani, in addition to renewing Dusan Vlahovic's contract, from Gazzetta dello Sport. Villa and Newcastle made early contract to explore the conditions of a transfer for Internazionale forward Marcus Thuram. Manchester United and Newcastle had scouts at Monaco's 2-1 win over Lyon to watch Magnus Akliush and Lamine Camara. Vinicius Jr. earning a renewal by public demand and a new contract for the star winger is closer than ever. Florentino Perez, president of the club, considering him essential. Fabian Ruiz, verbal agreement over a contract extension at PSG. Spain international tracked by Real Madrid and Barcelona, but he's happy at PSG, where he's formed a partnership with Vitinha and Joao Neves. Atletico de Madrid want to speed up Marcos Llorente's contract renewal. Players in no hurry. Recently suggested he'd consider retiring in the medium term to pursue other interests outside football. Atletico de Madrid don't want to pay the €32 million clause to make Nico Gonzalez's loan from Juve permanent. Dortmund could move for Hoffenheim striker Fiznik Aslani if Serhou Girassi leaves, according to Sky Sports Germany. Bayern Munich want to offload Joao Palhinha to another Premier League club if Spurs don't take up their option, Christian Falk. Mark Casado isn't currently considering leaving Barca despite being tempted by a lucrative offer from Saudi Arabia. That's Mundo Deportivo. Nathan Ake looks set to leave due to the signing of Mark Gahey, Football Insider. Aston Villa and Spurs have sent scouts to watch Cagliari goalkeeper Elia Caprile, Nicolo Schira. Also, Schira reporting that AC Milan had a scout at Lazio's 2-0 win against Bologna to watch Santiago Castro and Mario Gila, and that Napoli and Roma are monitoring FC Salzburg winger Karim Alibegovic, with Bayer Leverkusen set to trigger their €8 million clause to re-sign him. Gazzetta dello Sport also saying that Fulham have informed AC Milan they intend to trigger the €24 million option to permanently sign Samuel Chukwueze. Fabrizio Romano, clubs from the Premier League and the Liga have made approaches for Eintracht Frankfurt midfielder Hugo Larsson. Team Talk has Schalke, Hanover, and Union Berlin interested in Leeds midfielder Ayo Tanaka, and Borussia Mönchengladbach hold a concrete interest in Karlsruhe left-back David Harold, and that is from our friend Florian Plettenberg, to let you know about the gossip, the rumor, and the innuendo. So today on the board, you've got Women's Champions League first legs. You have League One and League Two. So there are a couple of makeup matches that are in the middle, but most of it is UEFA Women's Champions League first legs. That's today. and you can watch that on your favorite devices of choice. And so where can you watch it specifically? CBS Sports Network, once again, Wolfsburg, Lyon, 145, Arsenal, Chelsea at 4. That's also on ESPN Deportes and Paramount Plus. That's basically it. You got the one League One match, Knoxville and Corpus Christi. That's at 7 o'clock on the Plus. But today, light day by comparison, CBS Sports Network and ESPN Deportes and Paramount Plus with UEFA Women's Champions League. Thanks to Jamie. Thanks to all of y'all. Let me see who else is here. Morning, David. Morning, Ricky. Morning, Abby. Morning, Dell. And so let's see. Morning, Bart. Vegas or Phoenix? I don't know if Ohio deserves a third team. Yeah. Well, and David mentioning Columbus and Cleveland with the Haslams. They probably want more of an NWSL team there to go with Major League Soccer. And morning, Bart. And let's see. Morning, Dell. Morning, Abby. And there we go. So Griezmann is official. People can be mad at the purple team all they want and find out what's going on there. And apparently it looks like Trevor Siemian is signing with the Falcons. So it's Michael Penix, Tua Tagovailoa, and Trevor Siemian. Those would be your 3 for the Falcons. So tomorrow, once again, Dylan Butler. We got U.S. Soccer. We've got the week that was in Major League Soccer to go over in depth. Red Clay report at noon. We're going to catch up with Hart County, find out what's going on there with the great start that their boys and girls teams have had. So a very, very busy, very, very long Wednesday for all the programming that we have here at SDH. So as always, thanks for dropping by and being a part of everything. Back at it in a little less than 22 hours. And since it is the end of the show, maybe Kevin can get what? Maybe Kevin can get cell service down 400. Go watch Kevin and Good Day Atlanta. You got the summer. You've got the Business of Soccer Summit, Mercedes-Benz Stadium, brought to us by our friends at the Sports Business Journal. That is tomorrow and Thursday. We'll see if Maddie Cruz can wander the halls and catch up with folks and find out what their thoughts are when it comes to the business of soccer. So back at it again tomorrow. And since it is the end of the show, that means I get to do this. We'll be back at it again tomorrow, 9:05 a.m. Eastern time for a Wall Pass Wednesday where anything is on the table, guaranteed. Mucha Platiel played safe. End of the show, that means I get to do this, I think.